What's going on, YouTube? So you're going out to buy some subs for your car on Facebook Marketplace, but the guy's profile that you're buying from seems a bit sketchy. Obviously, you're going to want to test the subs before you buy them, but you don't have a system to plug them in. Well, that's alright, because today I'm going to show you how you can make sure those subs are going to ensure that you're going to drive your neighbor Barbara insane. The first thing you can do to check is by simply pushing on the cone of the sub. A good sub will move cleanly up and down like this. You want to make sure that you are pushing evenly on the sides of the sub or in the middle. A blown sub like this Alpine Type S will make a scratching sound whenever you push up and down, or it won't move at all. Keep in mind that some subs can be harder to push than others. Home theater and lower wattage subs and speakers will be a little bit easier to push than higher wattage car speakers like these. Now this 900 watt Memphis Mojo sub that I have right here is clearly a lot more difficult to press than these 12-inch subs are, but you can hear and feel the clear difference. Now the reason a blown sub does this is because inside of it there's a wire wrapped around like this that's called a voice coil. When a sub blows, that wire can get hot and break apart inside the sub, and since it moves with the cone when you press it, it'll scrape around on the inside. Sometimes it can also seize the sub, which is whenever it blows apart and jams itself up real tight inside the sub. Then it won't move at all. Make sure you don't confuse the sub that's blown with the sub that's just hard to push. Now there are a few other things that can cause a sub to seize, but this is the most common that you'll see. Now unfortunately, this push test is not always accurate. Sometimes the voice coil fries, but when you push on the cone of the sub, it still doesn't make any noise. That's why it's important to have this. This is a multimeter. If you're going to be setting up subs or setting up any kind of system, you're going to want one of these. They're super cheap. I got this one for about $10 off of Amazon, but I think you can get them for like $5 off of Harbor Freight. It's a no-brainer having one. You don't want to come home with some subs that you just spent $200 on that you worked half a week at your summer job for and start installing them just to finish up and realize that they don't make any sound and they don't work. And then you realize that the guy you bought them from now has you
pretty much a waste of information.
Like he was in a hurry and was acting weird and drove off so fast when you gave him the money. I was there 8 years ago. It's not fun. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to set your multimeter to ohms and then the lowest setting it has if yours has it. Mine says 200. Then you're going to get your sub. The one I have here is a JL Audio 12-inch W3V38, which is an 8 ohm sub. Then you're going to put the probes into the speaker terminals. It doesn't matter if you put red to black or black to red, they'll still read correctly. And it is reading about 7.3, and that's close enough to 8. They almost never show where they're actually supposed to, so if they're within about 15%, then you're good, which is what these are showing. Now here I have a blown subwoofer. This is an Alpine SW12D4. So this is a 12-inch dual voice coil 4 ohm sub. So that means there's 2 more terminals. Dual voice coil doesn't really change how the sub sounds or anything, it's just mostly to give you more wiring options. So to test these, we need to test each set of terminals to make sure that both voice coils are working. And the first reading is showing it about 1.7, 1.8. And if we flip this sub over, we will see that it is a dual voice coil 4 ohm sub. So it should be reading 4 ohms at each voice coil. It should not be reading close to 2 like this. Let's try the other terminals. And that is not giving any reading at all, so that shows that that voice coil is not connected. So this is definitely not going to work. But what's interesting about this sub is if we connect the red and the red, then we will also get close to 2 ohms. That should not happen. We should not be getting a reading from separate voice coils. What probably happened is the voice coil blew apart and is now touching the other voice coil, completing the circuit through that. We can even look inside the sub and see some wire strands. Here we have a Memphis Mojo Mini MJM822. This is a 2 ohm dual voice coil sub. This one has terminals on opposite sides, but it still works the same. See here, it is reading close to 2 ohms like it should. And then if you test the other side, it also reads close to 2 ohms. Now, if you do the same thing that we did with the other sub and you put 2 different voice coils together, it will read nothing like it's supposed to. This can also be done when the subs are in a box, but depending on how they are wired will show what their final impedance is. Here the 2 JLW3s are wired in parallel, so these 2 8 ohm subs will have a final reading of 4 ohms. It's not a bad idea to pull the subs out of the box and check them separately, but you can just ask what they're wired to, and if it does have a final reading of that, you're probably fine. That's all I got for you guys today. If you did learn something, please go ahead and leave a like, and if you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Remember, stay safe and protect your hearing.